Welcome, everybody. So good to be with all of you today. Happy gratitude season. We're grateful for you. So for those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Ilana Nankin. I'm the founder and CEO of Breathe for Change, which, if you're new to us, is an organization on a mission to enhance the health and well-being of educators, students, and entire communities. And we run the world's only 200-hour wellness, SEL, and yoga teacher training that's specifically for amazing educators and leaders like yourself who deeply care about using wellness as a vehicle for healing and social change. And I see some familiar faces in our trainings or grads. Hi. And if you're new to us, welcome. We're so excited to give you a taste of what Breathe for Change is all about, especially at this really special time of year where we're practicing gratitude. I know the holiday season is about to start, which can bring up a lot for so many of us. And so the intention of our time together is to really support us in experiencing a sense of grounding and connection and centering so that we can walk into this holiday season with a deep sense of connection to ourselves and willingness to connect, to bring that connection to our loved ones. So with that, I would love to pass it to you, my dear friend Michelle, to settle us in before we introduce ourselves a little more and dive into it all.
All right, so let's just take a moment to breathe together. So I invite you to sit or stand. Just find a long spine so that you can create some space and then breathe into that space. You might close your eyes. You might keep your eyes open. Just soften your gaze. And then follow your breath in and out. And feel what feels really good about this breath right now. You might notice your rib cage expanding. You might notice the collarbones lift and lengthen. What else? What feels really good to you? All right. So I'm very curious to know if you feel like sharing what's feeling really good to you right now. Is it your big toe? Is it breathing? Is it just being present, grounded, your breath, whatever, all the things it could be. And go ahead and share that in the chat if you feel called. What's feeling good right now? Just breathing. Yeah, closing my eyes and slowing down, right? Being aware, expanding my shoulders, calming. Softening my gaze. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for playing along with me. And now you're feeling ready to go, I hope. So I'll hand it back to you, Ilana.
All right. And we just took a moment to ground in, to center ourselves through breathing. And I would love to just energize our bodies through a little bit of movement. So I invite you to ground down through your sits bones, or if you'd like to stand, you can absolutely stand if you're like, let's go. And then just take a moment, bring your hands right to heart center, and inhale, reach your arms up to the sky, palms kiss. And on the exhale, hands return right back to heart center. Beautiful. Inhale, reach up, rise up, look up, grab a hold of something that will serve you in this moment, and exhale, bring that energy right there to your heart. One more time, inhale, reach up and rise. And this time on your exhale, I invite you to fold forward. So if you're seated, you can fold forward over your thighs and just allow your head to hang heavy and your arms to rest. If you're standing, you can just fold forward, hinging at your hips. And then allow your head to shake yes, to saying yes to what will serve you during this holiday season, saying yes to the energy that you want to welcome in, and then shake your head no, saying no thank you to any stress or tension that you may be carrying right now, letting that go. And then slowly, mindfully come back up to a seated position. Beautiful. Inhale, reach your arms back up high. And on your exhale, we'll twist to the right. So you can bring your front hand either to one of your thighs or to the chair next to you, the hand on the chair, and reach your back arm behind you. You can place your hand on the back of the chair, on the floor, just twisting from your rib cage to the crown of your head. Imagining as though you're a sponge here, wringing out any tension that you may be carrying, anything that's not serving you here, wring it out. Take one more breath here, and then slowly, mindfully come back through center and just notice any sensations that are arising in your body. Beautiful. Inhale, reach your arms back up high. And on the exhale, twist on over to the opposite side. So front hand comes to either thigh or maybe to the arm of your chair. Back hand reaches back behind you and then twisting to the left. Taking a deep breath in, deep breath out, and then come back through center. And then maybe do some neck rolls to get any tension out of your neck. You can move in the opposite direction whenever you're ready. And then just returning back to center. Bring your hands over your heart for just a moment. Checking in, and notice how you feel now after you moved your body. Just notice the sensations, notice what emotions are present for you. Then I would love for you, just like you did before, to share how you're feeling in the chat now that you've moved and grooved with me. What is present for you now? Let's see it. Energized, makes me feel more relaxed, loose, not so tense. Didn't realize how much I needed this, right? Isn't it amazing how just a little bit of movement, a little bit of shifting, of tapping into this powerful practice can impact us? Releasing tension, more aware of my body, loosen muscles in my back. Awesome. Feeling centered. All right, everybody. Looks like the over. We accomplished what we needed to accomplish. No, just kidding. So once again, welcome. Thank you so much for settling in with us, settling our minds, our bodies, our hearts. That's what we always do at Breathe for Change at the start of anything that we lead with our amazing educators. And so for those of you who are newer to Breathe for Change, I'll give just a little bit of background about myself. So I'm a former pre-K teacher from San Francisco. And when I was teaching, I was stressed and overwhelmed and overworked. And that's when I first found many of the practices that we'll be introducing to you today: yoga, mindfulness, all these mind-body wellness practices. And it just completely transformed my life and my well-being. And I ended up integrating so many of these practices into my classroom with my kids and just saw extraordinary transformations in them, both social, emotionally, but also academically. And I was like, hold on, there's something here that needs to be further explored. So I ended up pursuing my PhD in curriculum and instruction and becoming a teacher educator at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And for my dissertation, followed a bunch of educators into diverse classrooms all over the country and world to specifically look at how they were taking up their ideals of social justice and action in their teaching. What I ended up finding was that across the board, similar to my own experience, these educators were so stressed, they were burnt out, they were overwhelmed, and that negative cycle of well-being was deeply impacting their teaching. And so as I was seeing how universal the issue of educator stress and burnout is through my research, I simultaneously had just done my 200-hour yoga teacher training, which, as our trainees and grads know, of our 200-hour training was like the most life-changing experience for me ever. And so the educators I was working with at the time and researching found out I was a yoga teacher, thought it was like the coolest thing in the entire world. So they ended up renting out space in the student union for me to teach them yoga in addition to my courses. And one thing led to the next. Day after day, these educators would come up to me and say things like, oh my gosh, Ilana, the kids who normally have anxiety attacks before tests are utilizing these breathing techniques or these mindfulness practices that you taught us, and their test scores are improving. Or, students who are experiencing so much trauma in the home are learning how to breathe and regulate their bodies, and everything is improving. And so I was like, all right, world, I see how universal the issue of educator and student stress is. And I know how powerful these wellness, social emotional learning, and yoga practices can truly be for both educators and students' lives. Nothing's stopping me. I'm starting a movement. It's going to enhance the health and well-being of our amazing educators, students, and entire communities. And that's when Breathe for Change was born. So that was in 2015. And that year, I set out to start the world's only 200-hour wellness, SEL, and yoga teacher training that's specifically for incredible educators and leaders like yourself who deeply care about using wellness as a vehicle for healing and social change. And so that year, we certified 34 educators in Madison. And then the next year we expanded to the Bay Area and New York City, and Sesame Street hosted us in New York. So when Elmo and Big Bird came, I was like, we're on to something. So that year we certified about 185 educators across 3 cities, and then 600 across 6 cities, and 1,100 across 11 cities. And we kept growing. And then boom, the pandemic hit. We all know pre-pandemic world and then pandemic life. So we ended up we moved our trainings into the online space that were currently happening, and simultaneously interviewed hundreds of educators and leaders like yourself and just asked, what do you need and how can we help? And what we found was that our trainings that we lead were addressing 2 of the most critical issues in education, which were like educator stress, burnout, retention, well-being, and then student social emotional learning and mental health. And so we transitioned all of our trainings into the online space to make sure that educators everywhere could access the tools that we have to offer. And we haven't looked back since. It has been absolutely remarkable. Michelle and I trained about 2,500 educators last year through our 200-hour training, about 5,000 this year. And the movement is only growing, and we are impacting over 2 million students across the country and world, and with these tools that are absolutely life-changing. So today, our intention is to share some of our absolute favorites with you so that as we all move into the holiday season, we are ready to go, right? We've got the tools to draw on when we need them, which, let's be honest, that's when stuff comes up. So I'm super excited. And you can also use these in your classrooms with your kids. We'll talk about how to scaffold them and differentiate them, not just for your own lives, but also for your teaching. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I will pass it to my dear friend and colleague and fellow partner in crime, Michelle. Will you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. It is my great pleasure to be here with all of you, as well as to be a member and a lead trainer of the Breathe for Change incredible leadership team. So I am a career yoga instructor. I have led asana specifically, that's the physical practice of yoga, for 20 years. So I devoted my life to teaching mindfulness to other humans because it changed my life so much. I've been practicing on a yoga mat since 1996, and I have taught asana in all different venues, from classrooms to yoga studios to corporations. I've taught internationally, teacher trainings, as well as yoga retreats. And I, in the last 4 years or so in particular, I started to see this shift in where we placed our focus, really. And that focus became like, Instagram, pretty pictures of people doing these fantastic shapes. And that's just not what yoga really is. And so I was hungry for a way to bring this to people where it really could be used in the way that it's intended to help us all find liberation and find freedom and create better, more peaceful lives. I am someone that really lives in a lot of different spaces. I am mixed race, I'm bilingual, I'm queer, I am cisgender, and also in a white body. So I do also have a lot of privilege that I recognize as well. And what working with Breathe for Change has allowed me to do is to bring these practices and my love and long, long time practice to educators. And you're my people. I've always been a teacher of teachers. I've always found myself coming back to educators, and I have so many educators among my longtime students, and they've brought me into their schools where I was, leading asana practices for 10 years to a faculty in a local school and things like that. So this is just really the culmination of my life's work. And I'm so happy to be here and to be sharing these practices, especially on this day, on the eve of what, sometimes can be a challenging time for all of us as we're moving into the holidays, and maybe a little bit extra as we move into this holiday season, coming out of 2 years of it being very different, right? I think we're coming back, and I know for myself, I'm feeling kind of awkward as I move into these spaces, So it's interesting, and I think we could all use a little grounding. So with that, I'll just let you take it away, Ilana.
Right. Thanks, Michelle. So this is why we're all here together. We will be sharing with you 5 of our favorite social emotional learning strategies to support you in grounding for the holiday season, and then also that you can use with your students. So the number one intention of this experience is for you all to ground yourselves before the holidays and to enhance your own mental, physical, and social emotional well-being. Because y'all, you matter so much. Your well-being matters, and it's the foundation of everything. Michelle, will you share an outcome number 2?
Yeah, your second outcome is that we hope that you will learn to embody and facilitate foundational mind-body wellness and social emotional learning practices to support student mental health. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll take it into your families over the next few days.
Please do. That would be a win. And then last but not least, that community is at the heart of everything we do at Breathe for Change. So that we hope that you feel a sense of community and belonging by being connected to these other amazing leaders who are inspired to use wellness as a vehicle for healing and social change. So it is absolutely time to take care of you, to nourish yourself, to get that sense of grounding that you need. And at Breathe for Change in our trainings, we start always with what we call transformation of self, that inner layer of our wheel of well-being, which focuses on us prioritizing our own mental, physical, and social emotional well-being. And we tag on the F to SEL because it spells self, because we believe it's so critically important for us as educators, as leaders, many of us as parents, to embody the wellness and social emotional learning practices and competencies that we hope to bring to our students. And from this foundation of our own well-being, we can enhance well-being in our relationships as well as across our communities. So everything that we will be teaching you today is aligned with the 5 CASEL competencies, or social emotional learning competencies, that are nationally recognized in schools across the country. So the first social emotional learning competency is self-awareness. This is our foundation. So when we're able to cultivate a mindful awareness of our present moment experience, whether it's of our breath, of our body, of our emotions, or of our thoughts, we enhance our capacity to manage ourselves, right? To regulate ourselves when challenges arise, to build close relationships, to become more socially aware of our surroundings and of others, and ultimately to make more responsible decisions. And my dissertation revealed the critical connection between educator well-being and student well-being and learning. So as Marissa said, when I'm stressed, my students are stressed. And Krista put it another way, when I'm calm and collected, my students are calm and collected. And so let's just talk about the critical connection between self-awareness and self-management a little bit more deeply. So our own and our students' ability to become aware of our emotions deeply impacts our ability to actually respond in a way that's supportive, right? From that place of awareness, oh, I am aware of what's happening inside me, we can pause and ultimately choose how to respond. So Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl couldn't have said it better. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So it's in that moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm like feeling so sad right now, or right, this might come up during this holiday season, or, oh my God, I'm so pissed off. I can't believe they just said that, right? Something might come up. And it's in that moment that we are actually gifted the opportunity to make a mindful choice in how we respond to the situation. So we can choose, do I want to keep feeling this way? Maybe you're like, I'm content, I'm good, this is great, let's keep going. Or do I want to amplify the way I'm feeling? Maybe you're feeling excited, inspired, motivated, you want more of that. Great. Or in the cases where you might be feeling stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, all the things, frustrated, do I want to change the way I'm feeling? That you might be like, yeah, I can change what's happening right now. So the 5 practices that Michelle and I will be guiding you through, you can use both responsively and proactively. What I mean by responsively is like a stressful moment might show up during this holiday season, and you're like, in response to this stress or whatever, this thing that happened, I'm going to draw on one of these practices to ground myself. Or you can also use these proactively. So we recommend doing both. Oopsies, sorry. Proactively means that you're integrating this into your daily routines. So we'll be teaching you some strategies that you can use to ground yourselves on a daily basis. You might wake up and the first thing that you do before you get out of bed is use one of these practices to ground yourself. Or maybe you use it as a transition between one thing that you're doing and the next. Or maybe it's something that you do as a nighttime routine, right? Using these practices in a consistent basis can decrease your overall reactivity and also increase your well-being. So y'all ready to dive into the 5 SEL strategies for holiday grounding? We hope so. So the first one is a practice that connects us to our breath. And Michelle and I are going to show you 2 different approaches to these breathing practices so you can draw on the ones that best serve you. So Michelle, I will pass it to you to do the diaphragmatic breathing.
All right, everyone. So you can choose how you want to participate always, and you can stay seated, you could stand. Bring your hands either to your rib cage, to the sides of your ribs like this, or you could give yourself a hug, and maybe you want to try both and then decide which one. You can always change midstream. So with your hands touching the sides of your ribs, breathe in a way that expands your rib cage into your hands. You might be breathing in and out through your nose. Feel if that feels accessible to you. Most importantly, expanding the rib cage, breathing your hands out as wide as you can. And then allowing and feeling the rib cage fall as you exhale. Just a few more times like that. All right, so that is diaphragmatic breathing. When we deliberately expand the rib cage and move it in that way, and the touch helps. You can do it without your hands there. The touch is just to give you an extra sensory awareness of what we're doing. That's the rise and fall of the diaphragm at the center of the rib cage. And diaphragmatic breathing shifts us into parasympathetic state. So it is a state of rest and relaxation. We're telling our body that it's okay. We're relatively safe. We're not being chased, right? We're not driving in a car, looking around. And we spend so much of our lives in that sympathetic nervous system that is very much on autopilot a lot of the time. And this also lowers the heart rate, lowers the blood pressure. So that's the physiological reasoning behind it. And now I'm curious, what did that feel like to you? So remember the feeling of breathing, and what did that feel like? And you can put that into the chat. I'm curious. It was calming. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah. Made you feel great and very relaxed, right? You could fall asleep like that. Yeah, absolutely. Cue to feel the ribs help me breathe deeper. Sensory element was nice, feeling it was actually happening, and you didn't think about the distractions. Yeah, I'm refreshed. Fantastic. I'm so glad that that was calming for all of you.
Awesome. And so you can draw on this practice like on a consistent basis in your daily life by just connecting to your breath and breathing in towards your belly. And you can support your students in doing the same. I find that when I'm working with middle school or high school students or adults or college students, explaining the science behind what Michelle said is super helpful to increase engagement and buy-in. They love understanding like, wait, I can, by doing this breathing thing, it takes me from a state of fight, flight, or freeze to rest and digest. That's powerful stuff, that sympathetic to parasympathetic state. But when I'm teaching younger students, which I know a lot of you are doing, or maybe you have young kids at home, I like to shift it around a little bit, right? We need to scaffold and differentiate these practices based on who we're sharing them with. And so I'm going to show you a little version of how I might do belly breathing with the little ones. So if you, whether you're teaching little ones or have little ones at home, or if you've got none, I'm just inviting you to play. So I invite you to grab a hold of your inner child hats for a moment. And Breathe In Bear is coming out to play. So I invite you all to bring out your bear paws. Let me see your bear paws. And now come on off mute and let me hear your big bear growls. And now I invite you to bring your bear paws to your big bear bellies. Inhale, fill your big bear bellies with breath. Exhale, let it go. Again, inhale, filling your big bear belly with breath. Exhale, release. Biggest bear belly breath of the day. Out with a huge bear sigh. And now bring your bear paws to your big, beautiful bear hearts. I invite you to take a moment and just notice how you feel after your bear belly breaths. And then whenever you're connected to how you feel, I would love for you courageous bears to come on off mute and share how you feel in a word, or you can put it into the chat. Let's hear it. How do you feel? Joyful, creative, awesome. Aw, thanks, Mary. Mary Beth. Light free, that was very sweet. Aw, jovial, fun. Awesome, everybody. So y'all, I say this is for the young kids, but I actually think adults benefit and older students benefit so much from it because it brings so much play and love. So those are a few of our favorite breathing practices that you can draw on again in moments of stress, when you feel like you need some grounding, or just as a part of your daily practice. Like for the next couple of days, try it on for size, see how it fits, and see what opens up for you as a result. So y'all ready? We just did number one. Let's move to number two. So mindful movement. These are practices that connect us to our body. So it builds that mind-body connection, which ultimately can energize us. It can help us, as you experienced at the beginning, when I kind of facilitated a little bit of mindful movement for you, it really does ultimately change the way that we feel. It has a positive impact on our mind, our body, our hearts. And so, Michelle, I'll pass it to you to introduce one of our favorite practices, the sun salutation.
All right. So for this practice, we are going to stay seated. And if you are near a table and you want to use a table or a desk, we will be folding forward, and you could just fold forward onto that table. place your forearms there, and you'll just bow your head into your forearms, or you'll be sliding your hands down your lap. And I invite you to try things that work for you, and you can follow along. I'll keep building, and you can pause wherever you feel right for you, or follow all the way along with me. So let's spotlight me so that you can see me a little bit better. And I will blur this so that I don't disappear into my fantastic background as much. All right. So you're sitting in your chair, and if you can, bring your feet onto the earth. And if you want, you could always build up the earth to meet your feet with maybe some blocks or some books underneath your feet. Now take a deep inhalation, reach your arms up, look up, and then exhaling, bringing your hands right down through center. Here's where you're folding onto your desk or your table, or coming over your lap. And inhale, lift the chest, lengthen your spine. And exhale, fold in and roll your way back up. And moving on, inhale, reach up, look up. Exhaling, hands right through center. This time we're going to fold all the way over and down. If you want to, feel free to stay at your table or your desk or across your lap. Take an inhale, lengthen your spine. And exhale, fold in and roll your way back up. You can just have your hands coming down your legs for extra support. Let's do that one more time. And I invite you to separate your legs a little bit wider this time. Give yourself some room. And exhaling again, you can pause anywhere along the way or use your hands and come all the way down. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold in and roll your way back up. Now bring your hands to your heart. Pause. You might close your eyes. Just connect inward. You might feel your breath is a little more quick. You deepen it. And feel what is present for you right now. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes and write down a couple words to share how you're feeling from that practice. How was that for you? Less anxious. Yeah. Linking breath to movement is a really wonderful way to create the mind-body connection. Nice to stretch the back. It's a good seated stretch. You feel more awake. Yes, these are energizing. And releasing as well. Fantastic.
Love it. So that's a mindful movement. And Michelle just demonstrated what a half sun salutation looks like, right? Inhale, reach up, exhale, fold over, inhale halfway, exhale, fold, inhale, reach up, exhale, hands back to your heart. If you forget that sequence, no worries. All you need to do in order to engage in mindful movement is connect your breath to any movement, right? You can inhale, reach up, exhale, move on over. You could do inhale, reach out, give yourself a hug. There's so many different ways that you can move your body as long as you're connecting your breath to it. That is mindful movement in action. So just know you moving your body in a way that feels good for you is the power of this practice in action. So with that, I would love to move us into one of my favorite practices in the world called the 2-word check-in. We have demonstrated this for you a little bit, but we'll be more explicit in the teaching of it right now. So the 2-word check-in is a practice that allows us to bring awareness to our emotions, to how we're feeling, which especially in the context of relationships and families and communities is so important because stuff comes up and it's important to bring our mindful attention to how we're feeling so that we can ultimately give ourselves what we need or support our students in getting what they need in order to respond in a way that serves us. And so the 2-word check-in invites us to take a moment to check in with ourselves, draw our attention to our emotions, and to notice how we feel, and then to choose 2 words that actually describe how we feel. And so I would love for you to join me in this practice. So find whatever comfortable position you feel drawn to in this moment. You could be seated, you could be lying down, standing, whatever is good for you. And then maybe just relax your shoulders down your back, bring length to your spine. You can soften your gaze at a point in front of you, or focus or close your eyes and connect to your breath. Just observing the rise and the fall of each inhale and each exhale, just for a moment here. I invite you to bring a hand to your heart and the other over that hand. Feeling the rhythm of your heart beating beneath your palm. Just connecting right there to your heart. And then from this place, I invite you to check in and just notice how you're feeling right now. What emotions are present for you? Without trying to shift or change anything, simply drawing your attention to how you're feeling. And I invite you to find 2 words, just 2 words, that describe how you're feeling right now. Another way to put it is 2 words to describe the vibe that is happening inside. And then when you've got your 2 words, if your eyes are closed, you can gently open them, come back into the space. And for all of you courageous folks out there, I invite you to share your 2 words in the chat so we can just see what's in the room, knowing that everything is welcome here. Actively alert, accomplished, satisfied, peace and blessed, calm, relaxed, calm, peaceful, more energized. Awesome, everybody. Excited, tired, love it. Grateful, confident, happy, and tired. Healing, tired, less nervous, calm and peaceful, tired and tense, relaxed, tired. All you, I got good news. The holidays are here. You can sleep. Yes. So hopefully. So as you can see, this practice is so powerful, not only for ourselves, right, to become more aware of how we're feeling, but it also cultivates social awareness, which is another social emotional learning competency, is because when we share how we're feeling in community, whether it's in our classrooms, amongst our family, and like in a different community, we're way more aware of and able to respond to what's present in the moment. And that builds empathy and compassion. It allows us to connect more deeply with those around us. And so when you lead or facilitate the 2-word check-in in your teaching or in your life, really encourage you to invite in the opportunity for people to share their 2 words so that you can more effectively respond to what's in the room. Does that make sense? And sharing 2 words, the beauty of it is it takes no time. It's not like, I feel this and this because of, no, it's just 2 words, but 2 words says it speaks 1,000 words, right? It gets at the essence of what's here. So that's the 2-word check-in, which is amazing. And one thing to note about the 2-word check-in is for many of us, it can be really challenging to actually put words to how we feel, right? That requires emotional vocabulary and it requires a lot of self-awareness. And so we have another practice that's in our top 5 called the weather report that allows us to have a similar experience, yet with a different doorway in. So, Michelle, I will pass it to you and your puppy to share about the weather report. See you, Remy.
All right. Yeah. Little Remy loves this one. So if you could just take a moment, you can stand, you can stay seated. Maybe you want to turn away from your screen this time, or something that would help you. Maybe it's putting hands on your heart. I invite you to explore what will help you just connect internally right now. You might feel your breath in and your breath out. And as you're feeling you, if you were to describe how you are feeling right now as if it were the weather, What's the weather like inside of you? Stormy, sunny, maybe cloudy with a chance of rain or sun, gusty, windy, whatever it is. There's so many different ways that you could describe your internal state, like the weather. So taking another couple breaths, feeling how you're feeling right now. And once you've got your weather report, if you would be open to sharing it, I'd love to read what's in the space. A little foggy, some foggy, cloudy with a chance of pumpkin pie. Oh my goodness, so good. Cold and still. That's nice. Yeah, breezy, sunny. Beautiful sunset, foggy and windy, drizzly, overcast, sunny with a breeze, warm. Yeah, so this allows all of us to get a little creative and maybe find a way to express how we're feeling in a way that is easier to do than just going right to naming the emotion. Because some of us, especially little ones, they might not have access to that vocabulary. And so this is just another way to create that connection. Yeah, thank you so much. Cool and sunny. All right.
Love it. So that's the weather report. And thank you all so much for sharing. And our final practice that we've got for you is, nothing's better, gratitude. So taking on an attitude of gratitude is so powerful because gratitude inherently forces us to focus on the things that are working in our lives versus the things that aren't. And I know that we're all living in challenging times. It's very easy for our minds to focus on the things that aren't working. And so when we intentionally consider what we're grateful for and focus on that, it shifts our mindset to the things that are empowering and supportive in our lives. So there are so many different ways to practice gratitude, and we'll talk through a few. We'll experience a couple right now too. One of the most powerful ways to practice gratitude is to just literally think about or share what you're grateful for. And so what I'm going to invite you all to do right now is to get in the chat, and I want you to just write 3 things you're grateful for right now. It can be literally anything: your cup of water, your dog, your family, your love, your whatever, your baby, and just focus on those things. Love it. Dog, Beyonce, yes. Frogs, chocolate, love, friends, healing, my mom, my home, family, health, day off, sunshine, waking up in the morning, wife, kids, family, health, friends, dog, color in the trees, coffee, my body, my mind, my friends, my students, senior dogs, November and Maine. Ooh, I want to do that. Family, coworkers, breath and mobility. So lasagna, I want that for dinner. My cat's husband, so awesome. Home, health, family, beautiful. And so just take a moment and find a comfortable seat with me. I invite you to bring your hands over your heart, maybe a hand over your heart, a hand over your belly, whatever's best for you. And as you begin to connect to your breath, I invite you to focus on one thing that you're grateful for. Maybe it's something you wrote in the chat. Bring it to mind. I want you to see this thing or this person in your mind's eye. Feel it in your heart. I invite you to send a message of gratitude their way. Maybe it's your way. Maybe you're grateful for you. Feeling the connection to this incredible person, place, thing that's impacted you. And now I invite you to draw your attention to another person, place, or thing that you're grateful for. can be something so minor, something so big. Just feel this in your heart, see it in your mind. And I invite you to silently express your gratitude their way. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. And now bring to mind another person, place, or thing that you're grateful for. Let that gratitude be filled throughout your entire body, throughout your entire being. Just feel your appreciation for whatever it is that you're connecting to right now. What a gift this is. Let's seal this practice with 3 collective breaths of gratitude. Take a deep breath of gratitude in. Exhale, give your love and appreciation out. Again, inhale, feeling the gratitude, filling yourself up, and exhale, give out your love. Inhale one more time, filling yourself up with appreciation. And on your exhale, let it go. Give your heart a little rub and some love. And if your eyes are closed, you can gently open them, come back into the space, share in the chat how you feel after that gratitude practice. I would love to hear what's showing up for you. Uplifted, brighter, liberated. Ooh, I love these words. Loved, relaxed, calm. So awesome. Yeah, gratitude is the best. If you're ever feeling down, just focus on what you're grateful for. It works every single time because it physiologically refocuses on our attention on the things that uplift us, that move us, that allow us to reconnect to our whole selves. So thank you all so much for playing with us. Another great practice that you can use when it comes to gratitude, and we teach this in our 200-hour training, is called the appreciation circle, which is an opportunity for whoever feels called in a community or in a space or at the family dinner to open up space to share how or what they're grateful for. And it's similar to what we just did. It can be anything. It could be about your coffee, about your dog. It could be about this experience of connection that you're having with your friends or your family. It could be anything. And it is so powerful to just allow whoever feels inspired to share gratitude in community. So that's something that you can do at the end of your, teaching day, at the end of a powerful experience, and as a community builder. So with that, I want to thank every single one of you for showing up today to learn our practices, to get a taste of what Breathe for Change is all about. And Michelle and I, as we mentioned, are both co-lead trainers of our 200-hour wellness SEL and yoga teacher training that's specifically for educators and community leaders like yourselves. And if any of you at all are, I know I see some of you trainees and grads in there. Mwah, so good to see you. And I know that some of you have been direct messaging me with more or asking about more information. So Michelle and I will stay, for those of you who are interested in learning more about our 200-hour and what we do at Breathe for Change, for a couple minutes. We'll stay now to just share about our 200-hour training if you're interested. And for those of you who are not going to stay with us, thank you so much for being here. Have a happy holiday season. Take care of yourselves, engage in the practices. We are so excited to hear about how you use them, and hopefully they come in handy, because you never know what's going to show up in any given moment. I know I use these all the time I've taught them to all members of my family. We use them together. Teach them to your kids, teach them to your family members, your friends. They're useful for everyone. So thank you all so much. And for those of you who are interested in staying for just a couple minutes, Michelle and I will share more about what our 200-hour training is all about. So we'll just share about the outcomes of our training, a little bit about our curriculum and the certifications you'll get, and then we'll talk about how you can sign up. So the number one intention of our 200-hour training is for you to enhance your own physical, mental, and social emotional well-being through cultivating a personal and sustainable yoga and meditation practice. Because similar to what we shared today, you matter and your well-being matters. Michelle, will you talk about the second outcome of our training?
Absolutely. So you will be able to teach inclusive and accessible yoga classes and meditation practices for both adults and young people in person and digitally.
So you become a real yoga teacher. And then you also will leave equipped to effectively facilitate social emotional learning and mind body wellness practices and programs and experiences and workshops and PD for both adults and young people in your schools, districts, and organizations. So you really become a leader of this work in your community. And then last but not least, Michelle.
You get to join a community of passionate educators and leaders who are committed to using wellness as a vehicle for healing and social change. It's really one of the biggest gifts of this training is our incredible community.
100%. So what are we learning? So our training consists of 6 content areas. We have our Breathe for Change workshops, which are grounded in our transformational curricular progression, which I'll walk you through in a moment. We have SELF, so social emotional learning and facilitation, where you learn a wide range of strategies and also how to facilitate wellness workshops and PD. Asana is the physical practice of yoga. So you learn to break down all the poses, how to sequence them together, and ultimately how to design and teach inclusive and trauma-informed yoga classes to adults and young kids. You also learn meditation. So wherever you're at in your meditation journey, whether you meditate, you got no meditation practice, you'll deepen your meditation practice and learn to guide others through meditations. Philosophy is where we explore the history of yoga and the ethical principles of yoga and how those principles apply to our lives as educators and leaders and human beings. And then explore our physical bodies and ultimately develop a healthier relationship with bodies. So our training, our transformational curriculum. So we begin our training with a focus on called transformational, which is all about you enhancing and cultivating your own well-being. From there, we move into transformation of relationships, where we explore how do we show up fully and enhance well-being in all of our relationships. And then we end that transformation cycle with transformation of community, where we begin to explore how to utilize wellness, SEL, and yoga as vehicles for healing and social change. And then we close out the experience with integration and renewal, where we celebrate the amazing transformations that have unfolded and then ultimately prepare ourselves to step into our leadership at our highest capacity. So as I mentioned, everything we do in our training is designed to help you use wellness, SEL, and yoga as a vehicle for healing and social change. And through our training, you get 2 certifications. So you get your 200-hour yoga teacher certification, which is the international gold standard certification for yoga teachers that enables you to register through the Yoga Alliance, which is the umbrella organization globally that certifies yoga teachers. You also get your social emotional learning facilitator certification. This is what makes us different than any other 200-hour in the world. So this qualifies you to lead SEL, mindfulness, and wellness practices and workshops and programs in your schools, districts, or organizations. And then if you're someone who wants graduate level credits or PD units, you can also get those through our partner universities. And so our training consists of a combination of the most interactive, engaging, inspiring sessions on Zoom, as well as on-demand content. And the live sessions on Zoom in our upcoming cohorts in January and April cohorts take place on the weekends once a month over the course of 6 months. And then we also have summer trainings, which take place on the weekdays. As part of our training, you get access to our membership which is like our whole wellness and SEL platform that has daily live yoga classes, meditation classes, wellness and SEL PDs, SEL practices and curriculum you can integrate into the classroom, and daily wellness practices that you can use to enhance your well-being. And so, as I mentioned, we have upcoming cohort. We've got January, which is almost full. So excited for those of you who are interested in that. The live sessions, as you can see, are again once a month on Saturday and Sunday. We align it with the educators' schedules. And if you can't do that, there's an April one available, similar schedule. And then we also have summer immersion trainings, which are Monday, Tuesday every week instead of every month, or Wednesday, Thursday, if you want to get it done in 6 weeks versus 6 months. And you have the summers off, this one could be an option for you. And so typically yoga teacher trainings are like $4,000 or $5,000. We've done everything we can to reduce the tuition to ensure it's accessible to every educator.